Welcome to the Week 7 early game edition of Halftime with Harmon. I'm Matt Harmon, at MattHarmon_BYB on Twitter. Of course, you can follow us at Yahoo Fantasy for all your great updates. Well, maybe not great updates, but at least have some fun during the game with some stupid GIFs, some videos. This is fantasy football. It's supposed to be fun after all. But we are going to talk some heavy-hitting information here on today's show because there's a lot going on. It hasn't exactly been the sexiest games so far for fantasy. Not a ton of high scores. Some games that are pretty not competitive. You guys are jumping into the chat, and we are doing a lot here. What's for dinner? Clark from Facebook asked, "Bro, it's not dinner time yet. Let's get there. We'll get there. Let's talk Sony Michel injury. Of course, if you have been watching the game so far, you know that the biggest news probably is Sony Michel went down with what looked like his leg got twisted up. Something might be a knee, might be an ankle. Not really worth guessing right now, but we've had a lot of questions in the chat from Twitter asking about Sony Michel updates. Of course, we don't really have any right now. He's probably not going to be, rolling back out there in this game. He was carted to the locker room, so I don't expect to see him for the rest of the day. I think Rob Gilchrist from Twitter asks, "Hey, Matt, is Barner now the play in New England?" Yeah, I mean, he's the only other back on the roster right now outside of James White. Of course, James White got in the box again today. James White has been an every week play regardless of format. People think of him as just a PPR back or whatever, but he has been catching passes. He's been scoring touchdowns for one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. Kerryon Barner is, of course, the other guy. He's bounced around the league. He's spent time in Carolina. He's spent time in New England before. He's spent time in Philadelphia. He's a journeyman. He's also more of like a scat back build. Came back from that Oregon system way back in the day. So he's not exactly that early down grinder like Sony Michel has been. He was playing like basically a LeGarrette Blount role, not getting any work in the pass game, only early down carries. So we need somebody, because this is what's great about this New England offense. People complain about, I can't figure out the Patriots backfield. Well, don't be ridiculous, because when it's concentrated between two guys like it was with Sony Michel and James White, that's when you love it. That's when you smash the button on these guys every week in DFS. You play them every single week because the offense is high scoring and it's easier to figure out. But now we've got a situation where James White is purely a receiver. We don't know who that early down banger is going to be. Somebody from the chat mentioned Brandon Bolden will be signed by Monday. That really could be a situation that we see happen. Brandon Bolden could be brought back. They might also go out and trade for a running back. And I'm going to actually use that as a segue because somebody brought up in the chat about LeGarrette Blount, who, of course, is always finding his way back to the Patriots roster. But what we really want to think about with LeGarrette Blount right now, and again, I'm going to pull up something from the @Yahoo Fantasy Twitter feed. Kerryon Johnson's having his breakout game. He had a 71-yard run, is over 100 yards rushing on the day already, going against this Miami Dolphins run defense that can be brutalized. And of course, all of us are sitting here saying, Kerryon Johnson's so good. He needs all the carries. Well, too bad, because Matt Patricia is still scheming up ways for LeGarrette Blount to get smashed into the line for not a lot of yardage. So, unfortunately, we probably never will see Kerryon Johnson as long as LeGarrette Blount is on the field, be a true feature down back. That's an issue. However, I do think somebody brought up, some people are in the chat right now yapping about Le'Veon Bell to the Patriots. Highly, highly doubt it. But interesting that we did. I like the suggestion from Adrian Charlie here in the chat room that Amir Abdullah sees in New England. We all forget that Amir Abdullah's kind of been hanging around on the back end of that Lions roster. Obviously, he's not getting a lot of work, but he would be a really interesting trade candidate because obviously, look, I think they probably keep LeGarrette Blount, even though he's 7 carries, 33 yards, and of course the touchdown. He's going to get it over Kerryon Johnson there. I think Amir Abdullah would actually be a really interesting back to throw there in New England. I think Abdullah, a guy that lost his confidence along the way, had too many fumbling issues, and I freaking hate when coaches just yank these running backs out when they fumble because that negative reinforcement just makes them fumble more. It makes them think about it too much, and then they can't just run with reckless abandon. It's one of the more frustrating things that we see coaches do, and we see coaches do an awful lot of frustrating things. But so I think it would be actually great to see Amir Abdullah get a fresh start because I think he's a good runner. That's an interesting suggestion, Adrian. I like that a lot. If you guys have questions, throw them in the chat room. We'll talk about them. We all know it's a Mike Gillislee reunion time that's coming in from a Twitter viewer right now. I think that's certainly a good suggestion. We could see Mike Gillislee back there. That's absolutely right. I don't think Jonas Gray, give me a break on the Jonas Gray thing. That time has come and gone. Amir Abdullah just had a 10-yard catch. That is definitely a good thing to see. See, Amir Abdullah is like Sony Michel in that they might not necessarily use him as a receiver, but he can catch passes. So that leaves James White to do his thing. I do think that's really interesting. That was a good suggestion. We'll keep talking about that. As for the shirt, we saw a couple comments about the shirt. This is my good friend Matt Franciscovich, former NFL Network colleague. Shout out to RotoWear for making this shirt, and shout out to Franchise for not just being the most handsome guy out there, but also helping me move into my new apartment yesterday. So big shout outs all around. Love RotoWear, love Franchise, and I love you guys for watching Halftime with Harmon, and we are having a lot of fun. The second half of today's games, I think really should be better than this slate. This one has been slow. Something I've actually been a little surprised by just looking at some of the scores for this game. I've been stunned about what's going on in Houston, or what's going on in Jacksonville with Houston there. We obviously saw a big trade go down in fantasy this week with Carlos Hyde getting sent to Jacksonville. They definitely did not like what was going on in their backfield in Jacksonville. I thought TJ Yeldon was still running well, and they think Leonard Fournette's going to be back soon, so the trade was kind of confusing to me. Maybe they were just BSing about Leonard Fournette being back soon. Maybe that report is erroneous. But still, nevertheless, they obviously were not happy with their offense. So we could see the product right now. They're 0 points at home against Houston. Houston has a good defense. They've really harassed the quarterback in this one. But, I mean, my God, man, this is just – it's pathetic. Jacksonville is pathetic on offense with Blake Bortles. It will always be that way until the end of time. Adam Schefter reported this morning that they are not looking to trade for quarterback competition for Blake Bortles. So this is what you get. I agree, Frosty Coffee Tom. That's a hell of a Twitter name. They are pretenders. They are pretenders. I don't think they are going to be one of the teams at the end in the AFC because they just don't have enough counterpunch on offense when they get thrown off their script. Bortles is capable of going out there and looking like a top 10 quarterback every once in a while, but he's also capable of walking out there and giving you a total dud like he is today and has so many other games. Someone from the chat says someone just traded for Marlon Mack. I like that trade, and let's actually spin it over to the Bills side. Of course, one of the big pieces of news today, I'm going to pull up our Yahoo Fantasy Twitter feed. One of the big pieces of news today was LaShawn McCoy also left with a concussion. He's out for the game. I placed this GIF on here. Oh, it's not a GIF, it's video, actually. And if you've seen it before, it's Gordon Ramsay telling this woman that she's an idiot sandwich. And that's how I feel. That is how I feel for drafting LaShawn McCoy in one league. You guys know I do drafts all summer. I do best ball drafts. I do a ton of season-long leagues. I only took LaShawn McCoy one time, in the Roto World Friends and Family League with Evan Silva and Josh Norris and Ray Summerlin, Roto Pat, the whole gang. I've been in that league for a few years now, and at one point I'm picking right behind Evan Silva. I see he takes somebody I wasn't thinking about taking off the board, and then LaShawn McCoy's there. I'm like, it's the fourth round. It's the fourth round. Fine. I'll do it because of the volume, and I've hated myself ever since, so it's me. I'm the idiot sandwich. Anyways, moving on. I'm still doing really well in that league, though, by the way. So, anyways. But looking at this game right now, with what's going on there in Buffalo, somebody asked at the beginning of the chat, or actually asked on Twitter, they used the hashtag Halftime with Harmon, and they asked, with this pathetic showing in Buffalo, do we think this gives them a shot, to go back to Nathan Peterman? No. You can't go back to Nathan Peterman. Give me a break. I mean, that guy just inspires a lack of hope. And I mean, pulling Derek Anderson off the couch, dusting off the cobwebs and bringing him back out there, we know that's not the answer. But what else are they going to do right now? It's unfortunate what's happened with Josh Allen. You would like to see him out there making some more progress. But nevertheless, this is where we are with Buffalo right now. But no, they can't go back to Nathan Peterman. But that does put Marlon Mack in a good game script. And right now, he is the second highest running back of the Week 7 slate behind Dion Lewis. If you pull up our Yahoo Sports fantasy top scoring page, Dion Lewis crushed it this morning. That's great. I love it. It was great to see. Dion looked incredible getting him out in space. The offense in Tennessee actually looked kind of competent. Of course, they ended up losing that London game. Hope y'all woke up for that and didn't get banged by the Melvin Gordon news. Defense did lose it at the end there for Tennessee. That was unfortunate. But Marlon Mack, 19.6 points at PPR right now. He's crushing it. He's got a receiving touchdown. He has 33 receiving yards, 63 rushing yards. Really like what we're seeing out of Marlon Mack right now. And I will say, in games where you could project the Colts to hold a lead, which may not be very often, but certainly was coming into this week against the Buffalo Bills and friggin' Derek Anderson, who was, doing PGA podcasts a little while ago. Pretty wild stuff. I think we will see Marlon Mack be a really good fantasy running back. Someone from the chat says that Peterman is warming up on the sideline right now. Yikes. I wonder how many picks he will throw in the second half. Of course, 11% interception rate for his career. That is outrageously high. If you guys have any questions in the chat, we'll hit them before we jump off here in about 3 minutes. So if you have them, I saw somebody asked about Matt Breida or Mark Ingram this afternoon. I would go Matt Breida. I really like this 49ers-Rams game to go over the projected total. I like the 49ers to keep it close. They're 9-point dogs right now, but I think that could be a good line. I took that line there. I took the 49ers to the points. This offense has looked good. I think this game turns into a shootout. Both secondaries have major issues, of course. Everybody knows that you pick on the 49ers at slot corner and right cornerback because people just aren't even messing with Richard Sherman. So, and then, of course, on the Rams side, Marcus Peters clearly playing hurt. Sam Shields not looking all that good coming out of retirement. I think this game is one where you want to get fantasy players out there. Thoughts on Le'Veon Bell and James Conner? My thoughts have been the same about this situation for weeks. I think if you have James Conner, you hold on to him. Don't try to trade him because everybody knows that Le'Veon Bell may or may not be coming back, but that may not come back is the key factor here. You have the bird in the hand already with James Conner. You're already getting a lot of value out of him. I don't think you bail on that value right now. I think you keep on riding. And as for Le'Veon Bell, I will believe he's coming back when I see him coming back. We have seen so many times the football has been pulled out from under us, Lucy, Charlie Brown style. So you just can't trust it yet. You just can't trust it yet. And even when he does come back, he's not coming back to that RB1 workhorse role. The Steelers have said it. He doesn't want to come back to it. You're not getting some fantasy winning RB1 when he comes back. So don't bother messing around too much with that. I think you let somebody else deal with the whole Le'Veon Bell situation. Somebody asked, is Derrick Henry a fluke today? Yes, I think he was. Would you start Adrian Peterson or Matt Breida? I think you roll with Breida. Again, I really like what we're seeing out of him. He has the versatility of being a slight factor in the passing game where Peterson usually will not be. I think the Washington-Dallas game is going to be slow, low scoring. So I want to side with the running back in the high scoring game. And Breida, man, he's been one of my favorite players to watch. I drafted him in a ton of leagues. That league where I was crying earlier about drafting LaShawn McCoy. I actually took Matt Breida late in that draft, and I'm playing Matt Breida every single week over LaShawn McCoy. My fire take on Hyde and Chubb situations, I mean, Chubb probably will be fine. Most people probably overpaid for him, and I don't think I want anything to do with Carlos Hyde in Jacksonville. And yes, owning Leonard Fournette and Le'Veon Bell has not been fun this year, but there's been a ton of running back landmines, as there always is, because the position is super volatile. Would you go Drew Brees or Jared Goff? I'd go Jared Goff for the reasons I already talked about earlier. And that is going to do it for the Halftime with Harmon Week 7 early game editions. If you've had fun watching this show, and how could you not have fun? I had fun. I just blabbed for 15 minutes. You guys made some great questions. We had a lot of fun here. Please tune back in at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll be right back here, right in this magical studio, and you all will be where you are. And I'll be talking to you about football and fantasy football at that time. Remember, you can get the show on the Yahoo Fantasy Twitter feed at Yahoo Fantasy. You can get it on Facebook, Yahoo Sports Fantasy, You can also get it on Twitch, Halftime with Harmon, YouTube. Subscribe to the Yahoo Sports YouTube page. I've got content up there. Everybody's got content up there. And Liz Loza, she's great. She will be here for the second edition, so make sure you tune in. I'm wrapping this up, I swear. I'm wrapping it up. Okay, so that's it. That's it for today. We'll see you later at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you on the internet.